But as far as Meek Mills, Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these, all you fake hard.
I really do feel this way. This Kim Kardashian devoted her life to something, but it certainly wasn't the pursuit of academic excellence. She didn't even go to college, Harvey.
Kim Kardashian didn't just become famous. She was helped into the spotlight. And one of the figures long rumored to have played a role is now facing serious legal trouble. Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, currently serving a 50-month sentence on trafficking and racketeering charges. His name has become radioactive in Hollywood, and while most public figures are steering clear, one connection many observers point to is Kim's past association with him, a relationship some say she has worked quickly to distance herself from as his legal problems escalated. The timeline is telling. Posts vanished, public ties faded, and her brand's carefully controlled image shifted almost overnight. To critics, Kim isn't just navigating a PR crisis. She's running from a chapter of her past that could threaten the entire Kardashian empire. The public separation began in March 2024, when Kim quietly unfollowed Diddy on Instagram. On the surface, it looked like nothing more than digital housekeeping. But the move coincided with federal raids on Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami homes, part of an investigation that would later expand into high-profile criminal charges. According to industry insiders, the timing wasn't incidental. It was strategic. This wasn't just a social media adjustment. It was an erasure for over a decade. The Kardashians were regulars at Diddy's notorious celebrity parties, photographed alongside him, networking among Hollywood's elite. But when those circles became the focus of federal scrutiny, Kim fell silent. No public statements, no defense, no acknowledgement. She simply unfollowed him and stepped back from social media for nearly 2 weeks. To some, that silence spoke louder than any comment could.
They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Not you, man.
But they can't control me. You see, it ain't no name I won't name.
The fallout grew even more uncomfortable when Kim's ex-husband, father of her 4 children, and someone deeply familiar with the inner workings of her brand, entered the conversation. In early 2025, Ye launched into a public rant about Hollywood sacrifices, a phrase that quickly sent social media into conspiracy mode. They can control LeBron, Jay-Z, Beyonce, he said. But they can't control me. To many, it sounded like another unpredictable Ye moment. But to others online, the comments hinted at larger ideas about influence, power structures, and who benefits from them. When Ye referenced Diddy directly, fans began questioning how far those circles extended and whether Kim had once been connected through proximity, social ties, and shared industry spaces. The speculation wasn't that Kim participated in anything illegal, but rather that she moved in the same high-profile environments now under scrutiny. If Diddy represented the darker side of celebrity culture in the eyes of critics, then Kim, at minimum, occupied adjacent tables in that world for years.
You know, the thing about the kids at some point here, and not for the younger ones, it's at some point. For North, it's right now, right? That even if she doesn't see it, even if somehow Kim is able to keep that away from her, the kids that her friends at school, they're going to know about it. They're going to see it. And it puts the kids in a horror.
The chaos only intensified. Ray J, Kim's former boyfriend and the figure long tied to the tape that launched her career, returned to the spotlight in 2024, not with nostalgia, but with allegations. During a live stream that went viral, he claimed he was preparing a federal RICO case against Kim and Kris Jenner, calling it worse than Diddy, a statement that triggered an immediate defamation lawsuit. Kardashian attorney Alex Spiro dismissed the claims as false and serious, but the internet had already clipped, shared, and dissected every second. Why would Ray J risk another legal battle unless he believed he had something? And if his claims had no merit, why respond with such force instead of brushing them off? As the debate grew, a resurfaced 2014 Keeping Up with the Kardashians episode added fuel. Khloe laughing about a wild party, naming Diddy, Quincy Brown, Justin Bieber, French Montana, and noting guests were half naked. At the time, it was harmless reality TV chaos. In 2025, viewers treated it like a timestamp, placing the sisters in the orbit of someone now facing serious allegations. Old party photos suddenly looked less like glamorous nightlife and more like evidence of a past Hollywood ecosystem people are only now questioning. Intro 4.
It's just crazy. Interact with other human beings besides the children in your family all day long. We're great.
What followed was a string of smaller controversies that made the Kardashian empire feel suddenly unsteady. Kim faced backlash for defending North's viral TikTok videos featuring faux piercings and temporary tattoos, moves some critics claimed were distractions from more serious headlines. Then came the lawsuit against Ray J, public statements about reckless disregard for the truth, and finally Kim's emotional breakdown on the Kardashians' Season 7 premiere. In a clinical exam room, she revealed she'd been diagnosed with a brain aneurysm, attributing it to stress. But online, the question wasn't if she was struggling, it was why. Around the same time, Diddy's legal case was approaching sentencing, media coverage intensified, and witness lists reportedly included major industry names. Kim's earlier unfollow suddenly looked, to some observers, like a strategic retreat rather than coincidence, and rumors swirled that her team feared she could be called as a witness, not accused of wrongdoing, but for insight into elite Hollywood social circles. Whether any of that speculation held weight, the pressure appeared real enough that even her health seemed to reflect it.
I don't know how I would deal as a mom. I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna have to.
I was
gonna say we're gonna get to that. But do you think your mom is unfazed now? Do you think there's anything you actually could do that your mom would be like, actually, what?
I think every time we say that, something comes up and then it's like, what?
Meanwhile, Ye didn't back down. He continued implying that Hollywood protects its own and that Kim's rise was tied to forces no one publicly names. For him, the conversation seemed less about their marriage and more about exposing an industry he believes shields power players. His timing was notable. Each time new filings in Diddy's case hit the headlines, Ye's past comments resurfaced online, pulling Kim back into a narrative she appeared desperate to distance herself from. By late September, even casual observers were asking uncomfortable questions. Did Kim build her empire independently, or was she elevated by a network now facing federal scrutiny? Then things took a darker tone. In a reality show teaser, Kim sits at a table, visibly shaken, whispering, "Why is this happening?" A moment staged as stress from divorce, co-parenting, and non-stop public pressure. But online audiences wondered if there was more beneath the surface. If the true weight wasn't personal turmoil, but the fear of what ongoing investigations might reveal. The parties, the connections, the footage, and the circles that once fueled her ascent. Maybe the aneurysm she revealed wasn't just stress from life, some speculated, but the toll of holding secrets from a world now collapsing in real time.
Kim Kardashian has a big announcement about the bar exam.
By the way, results come in 2 weeks.
She has passed it. Or at least she is very confident that she passed it.
If the first half of this story was about cracks forming in Kim's public narrative, the second is about what those cracks might reveal. Because at this point, the conversation isn't just about a reality star under pressure. It's about a billion-dollar empire built on image, privacy, and power. And when people online start tracing finances and connections, the theories get uncomfortable fast. Kim receives roughly $200,000 a month in child support from Ye as part of their divorce settlement. Legally, it's standard post-marriage support for their children, but critics speculate it feels like something more, almost like a financial tether between two people who still share history and secrets. And whether that interpretation is fair or not, the questions only intensified when their daughter North posted her illustrated version of the Vulture's One album cover, a project already criticized for explicit themes. Fans weren't just shocked by the artwork. They questioned why a 12-year-old was allowed to post it publicly and who approved that choice. Was it simply creative expression? Was it marketing? Or, as some theorists argue, was it strategic, diverting public attention toward a viral headline about North's art while the adults navigated a much larger reputational storm behind the scenes?
I mean, I think that extra pressure just makes it a little bit harder. I think people were going to be, I thought like, oh my God, everyone's going to be so upset with me because I'm just like leaving, and I wouldn't want someone to think I was leaving someone because it got too hard. But there was just a lot in there that, for my soul, I felt like I had to make that decision. And
that pattern, deflect, distract, deny, goes back years. We've seen it before. Take Khloe Kardashian's old story about attending Diddy's parties. In a 2014 clip, she laughs as she recalls that half the guests were naked. Back then, it played like a punchline. Just another outrageous tale from Hollywood's wild nights. But hearing it now hits differently, especially when she casually adds that Justin Bieber was there. Bieber was only 20 at the time, barely an adult, surrounded by A-listers twice his age at a party where, by Khloe's own words, half the room had no clothes on. What once got laughs now feels unsettling. Bieber has never commented on that night. Neither has Kim. Neither has Khloe. The only person who ever acknowledged those gatherings publicly was Diddy himself. And now he's behind bars. Let's talk about Justin Bieber, because his connection to this story isn't random. It's part of a pattern. Bieber didn't just show up to a Diddy party in 2014. He was part of a constellation of young stars orbiting Diddy at the height of his influence. At 20, he was still packaged as the innocent prodigy just emerging from his first wave of tabloid chaos. But behind closed doors, his circles were shifting. He began working with producers tied to Diddy's label network, attending the same industry after-parties, and most notably, appearing in overlapping social spaces with the Kardashians. Cameras never photographed them together, but the breadcrumbs were there, shared entourage members, mutual publicists, identical red carpet backdrops. When people talk about the Diddy circle, they forget how wide it really was, and Bieber was inside it.
It sounds like you're dealing with a bunch of your own decided, like, harvest this and build up all this animosity.
By 2025, that detail resurfaced as Diddy's legal case expanded. The old footage of Khloe's story began circulating again, and suddenly Bieber's name was back in headlines, this time under far more uncomfortable context. His response? Silence. No comment, no denial, no acknowledgement. Sources close to Bieber said he was focused on his faith and personal growth. But to critics, that silence looked less like devotion and more like avoidance, because addressing one party could mean opening the door to questions about others and about the many people who were present, but have chosen not to speak publicly.
A Vogue cover that I did came out today. I was like, are we going to, like, lose our minds in our family chat today? Because, like,
and celebrate.
How are 3 family members on the same month of different Vogues? Like, that's just such a trip to me. Like, this can never.
By 2025, the narrative took a sharper turn. As Diddy's legal case expanded, old footage resurfaced and Justin Bieber's name returned to headlines just as Kim Kardashian quietly unfollowed Diddy on social media, a timing many observers found hard to ignore. Around the same period, Bieber had already rebranded himself as a spiritual artist after distancing himself from several older industry figures, including some once connected to Diddy's circle, while Kim continued appearing alongside many of the same people he had begun removing from his public orbit. Critics framed it as a story of one person stepping away while another remained embedded, and Bieber's silence, no statements, no clarifications, only fueled speculation about what he may have witnessed in those rooms. Entertainment lawyers even suggested that both camps might have received private legal cautions as investigators reviewed new evidence, making Kim's unfollow feel less like a PR choice and more like strategic damage control. If Diddy's downfall is only the first domino, the question becomes how many influential names, artists, collaborators, and public figures who shared stages and branding deals throughout that era might be implicated by proximity. In that light, Kim wasn't merely attending the parties, but existed within a larger industry structure that enabled them, and Bieber's reemergence in the conversation suggests the network behind those events may have been far more interconnected than the public ever realized.
I'm a really forgiving person, but I really haven't dated like that to, like, have those kinds of toxic relationships.
Yep.
Since I've been divorced, you know, like, I feel like that dating world is so, like, from when I remember I would have, it would have been like, I would have been way younger. And, like, I think when you get older, you just don't tolerate that.
We can't ignore what that silence implies. because silence can speak louder than words. When a family built on transparency suddenly stops talking, it raises the question, what are they protecting? Insiders from the early Kardashian years have whispered that certain A-list connections, especially those tied to Diddy's events, were untouchable topics. After the raids on Diddy's homes, sources say Kris Jenner quietly ordered a review of every photo, video, and post that might link the family to him, and within days, hundreds of old clips disappeared from social media. Coincidence? Or damage control? Meanwhile, Kim tried to maintain a calm public image, attributing her brain aneurysm to stress from divorce, co-parenting, and moving on. But divorces rarely cause aneurysms, secrets and fear do. Those closest to her say what truly unsettled her wasn't the split itself, but the looming possibility that her past could finally catch up, that every image, every story, every old clip could resurface in ways no publicist could contain once Diddy's name reappeared in headlines tied to serious legal charges.
Concept of what like certain simple things cost, which really is, you know, I'd like to know a little bit more about what like a milk carton cost, and you know, let me think about this.
We've seen Kim's pattern when she's cornered. She sues, she unfollows, she goes quiet. The playbook is the same every time, but each silence only makes the noise louder. Ray J's lawsuits, West's rants, viral clips from Keeping Up, all circling back to the same shadow. Diddy, the name she now claims barely to have known, even as the photos tell a different story. Truth isn't always in court filings. It's in the timing of exits, the panic behind smiles, the calculated movements of those in power. Meanwhile, Yed spirals in his own orbit, facing lawsuits, shrinking wealth and accusations, yet fixating on a system that controls artists like him and implicates Kim as part of it. His followers call him unhinged, but the timing of his claims is uncanny, dragging her name back into the same conversation every time she pivots toward positivity. Diddy's empire, Hollywood sacrifices, the cost of silence, all intersect. When Yed declares, they can control Jay-Z and Beyoncé, but not me, it reads like ego, but it might be evidence, a glimpse of the network that built and protected stars in exchange for compliance. The tension is no longer personal, it's systemic. A billionaire mogul and a fallen rap icon, both tied to the same crumbling foundation, with North caught in the middle, her artwork signaling something far heavier than childhood whimsy. Piece by piece, a pattern emerges. West's rants, Ray J's threats, Diddy's trial, North's drawings, Khloe's confession, Bieber's silence, Kim's aneurysm. These aren't random scandals, they're coordinates on a single map, pointing somewhere darker than we may be ready to confront. If Kim Kardashian's fame was built on silence, what happens when the world stops listening to her and starts listening to them?